Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another of our regular quarterly enhancement review webinars here from the team at iCarol. I want to thank you guys for joining us. We're always glad to have you on these webinars so we can fill you in on the latest information about some of our biggest enhancements from the past period of a couple months. So thanks for joining us. Before we get started, I want to just kind of go over a couple brief housekeeping notes for you all. We always record these webinars, and this recording will be available after the webinar is over, so no worries if for some reason you have to jump off early or if you join us late, or of course to those who registered but had to miss it, it's always available, so no worries there. And then of course we will take your questions as well. If you have any questions as we're going through the webinar and as we are going over these enhancements, feel free to submit your questions in written form. There's a questions area of your GoToWebinar side panel where you can type those in and send those to us, and we'll be happy to answer those. We usually break after each feature that we discuss, so go ahead and type those in as you have them when you're looking at the features, and then we'll take some at the end too if any came in after that. With that, that's all my housekeeping notes, so we'll get us started here. And of course, I'll introduce myself. My name is Dana with the iCarol marketing team. I'm our communications and social media manager. We want to say hi to Crystal too. Crystal, you want to say hello and introduce yourself?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. My name is Crystal. I've been with iCarol for a number of years. I am your friendly neighborhood product manager. So looking forward to reviewing some of the new developments with you all.
Great, thanks, Crystal. Well, we will launch right into it here. Let's talk about what's on our agenda for today's webinar. So first, we've expanded the amount of text that you can send to your texting visitors in a single typed message from iCarol, so that should improve and smoothen your conversation. We'll talk about that. There is a new way to contribute your feature and enhancement ideas to us, something that we've always been happy to get from you guys, and now there's an easier and even better way to do that. Over recent months, we've had a number of performance enhancements that have affected various areas of iCarol and help you do your work better and faster, so we'll discuss those. We will talk a bit about the iCarol Resource API and a few enhancements there that will help you do more with your resource data, really harness your resource data and use it in new and exciting ways. And we'll update you on some of our plans to be more inclusive in some of the terms that we use throughout iCarol. And then finally, we're going to give you some status updates on two of our bigger enhancements that have been ongoing for a while now, our messaging and call form enhancements, and then also the public resource directory. So we're excited to share all of this with you guys today. So we'll start by talking about the SMS limits, the character limits that we've extended. So when sending text messages, there is actually a limit on how many characters can be sent through at once. The previous limit before this enhancement was 140, and in iCarol, as you were typing to your visitor, SMS visitor, there was actually a point where you had to stop typing or couldn't send any more than that. And admittedly, that chops up your stream of thought and stream of conversation a little bit and your thought process a little bit. So we found a way to extend this limit by over 1,000%. Now it's at 1,600 characters at once. So if a visitor's carrier can only send or show them so many characters at once, now the carrier is going to be able to break up that counselor's message appropriately and send any of those longer messages that you send. They can break them down and send them in an order, in the order that makes sense. That was the proper order. So this makes for a smooth conversation, allows your volunteers and staff to be able to type freely, really truly finish their thought, and allow the system to do the work of breaking that message up. So Crystal, it's kind of one of those subtle yet really meaningful enhancements. Do we have any questions on this one?
I'm not seeing any questions at this time.
Okay, great. We will move on. This is available now. We have a message on the dashboard about this if you want to learn a little bit more, but it has been available in your system for a while. So hopefully you've noticed that and are enjoying that enhancement. So next I want to talk about the iCarol Ideas portal. This is a really exciting one. Our users, you guys have long been a really important part of the iCarol development process. We have gotten so many great ideas, feature ideas over the years that have really greatly contributed to what iCarol has become and how we have grown and the aspects of iCarol. So we've always welcomed these ideas, but we wanted to improve the process a bit, and so that's how the iCarol Ideas portal was born. So this is a new and convenient, right within your iCarol application system that allows you to send us your feature or enhancement ideas right there while you're signed into iCarol. And this has been really popular. We've actually gotten over 200 ideas submitted to us since we first launched this in February. So really exciting and really well used. I think we're getting great feedback, and you guys are clearly making use of this and really enjoying this. The portal is a place where not only can you submit your ideas, so any kind of idea you have about a feature or an enhancement to iCarol, something that you think should be added, you can submit those, but then also, of course, you can go through and filter and browse other people's suggestions. When you see a suggestion that you like and want to see implemented, you can actually have a number of votes that you can contribute to it. You can make additional comments and suggestions. So this is really a communication that we're all engaging in together, especially when it comes to commenting. When one person has a great idea for something in the portal and you see it, somebody else can come through and say, oh, you know what else would be great to add to that feature? And they can bring in another idea to the table to add to it, so that once an idea gets to the point where we're looking at developing it and implementing it, we've got all of these great ideas contributed together. Everybody's been brainstorming and adding their piece of the conversation. And so it just makes what started as a great idea an even better idea that just makes the solution even better and solves even more problems when the solution comes to be. So this is not only more usable for you, it also offers you a way to continue to see how a product is going. We'll change the status of it when we know that it is eventually going to be implemented. So there's better communication back and forth. You can also subscribe to a feature so that you can learn how it's going through the process and just be aware and be communicating with you about how that is going. Really got to give a big shout out to Crystal on this. This project is definitely her baby and something that she, along with other members of the team, have really spearheaded and worked on. And Crystal, I want to give you the opportunity to talk a little bit about the purpose and how people use this and any other thoughts you want to add, since this is really something that you worked hard on.
Oh, thank you so much. That's a really great summary of what the Ideas Portal is and what it's intended to be. It's really another way for all of you to communicate directly with our iCarol product management team. We review all the new ideas before we publish them, and we're often asking questions to really understand what that idea is and what it could look like. Your comments and votes help us understand your needs and how you want to see iCarol improve to bring you more joy when you're using our software. We do take your votes and your comments and even your subscriptions to different ideas, so you can subscribe to any number of ideas. We take all of that into consideration with other information that we gather from industry conferences and meetings and focus groups and client interviews and every contact we have with all of you when we prioritize new developments. So even though an idea has the most votes and it's at the very top of the list, it doesn't mean we're necessarily going to be able to develop it right away or it's going to hit our roadmap within the next X number of months, but we are considering that and we're keeping an eye on all those top voted ideas and planning for what it would look like to include that in our roadmap. I do want to encourage everyone to continue participating and communicating with us about the ideas on the Ideas portal, on existing and new ideas, and really keeping that conversation going. Looks like we have a couple questions. I answered the question about prioritizing based on the number of votes, so I think that one's covered. And who can utilize the portal if it's only admins? It's actually available to any of your standard users plus. So we want to to recognize that admins use iCarol in one particular way, your volunteers and staff may use it in a different way, and we want everybody to be able to suggest and comment and help build iCarol up. So it's anyone that's standard user plus. I think that covers all of the questions, but please feel free to continue submitting them and we'll answer them during the session.
Awesome. Thanks, Crystal. Yeah, so we're really glad you guys are as excited as you are about this, and we've gotten some great feedback and so many cool ideas. So we really hope you're enjoying this new way to send those through to us and kind of stay in touch with an idea as it changes, as it has new comments, and as it develops. So this is actually a feature that's been in your iCarol systems for a while now, so like I said, since about February, and so it is available to you whenever you sign into iCarol, and we do have a blog that you'll see the link, the URL down there at the bottom, that if you want to read a little bit more about it, please do go ahead and do that. So moving on to or Crystal, did we have another question? I just thought maybe you came back in.
Nope, no more.
Great, all right. Okay, we'll move ahead then. Let's talk a little bit about your data exports and some enhancements to that in the last few months. So I want to take a minute to start and say that you guys are so awesome, that it is clear you're doing so much hard work every day, and you guys are using iCarol in so many cool ways, and that also means there's just tons of data generated every day, which is great. If you think about every call form that you open and fill out and all of the fields that you enter in that call form, when you enter in a new volunteer's information or update a volunteer's information, create shifts, when you add a new referral record and fill in all of the fields in that referral record, each of those things are pieces of data. And if you multiply that just what you are doing in your iCarol system every day, by the tens of thousands of people who are logging in and using iCarol every day, you can imagine that it just really adds up. And so that on one hand presents a challenge, and of course it's one that we're willing to meet. There are many reasons why people need and want to export their data from iCarol. There are a lot of people who take their call report data and like to go beyond with it. Once they export it, they put it into external programs to do further analysis, do queries and cross tabulations. So some people really, love data and are data nerds, and I can certainly relate to that, and want to be able to do that. So that's one use of your call form data that you would want to export. Another is that you will want to create offline records, whether you want to store an offline record of your caller profiles. Certainly many of our users periodically download their full resource database because they want an offline copy of that, and a lot of times you have contracts or commitments that require you to keep certain offline records. So for all of these reasons, we want you to be able to export it. It's your data, and getting to it is really important. So as iCarol grows and adds on more users, we are always looking at how we can stay on top of performance and optimize that experience for everybody. So at the start of this year, our technical team worked hard to do a few things that would make these exports run faster. They optimized queries, they re-architected the exporter service that we use, they made some changes to the exporter schedule, and finally they also deployed some additional services, all to reinvigorate that data export process to deliver you the best performance possible. So we want you to be able to access your data exports faster, and that's what this has done. Once it's requested, your exports are being delivered to you faster. Those emails saying they're ready and notification within your system that it's ready are coming up more quickly. And this is part of our goal because we want you to be able to work faster and efficiently. We, as little as possible, want you to have to wait once you request something. And so the changes that we put into place really have done that. This is work that we did earlier in the year, so you should be noticing this already. It is available now. We have a blog that we wrote about that you can see the URL there below. And just to kind of show you, really what that looks like, and we shared these results in the blog as well, that these are our initial results. So in order to kind of look at the changes, we went ahead and said, well, how many, let's look at exports from February of 2016 and compare them to February 2017 after those changes had been made. And you can see that not only there was actually more requests in February of 2017 because iCarol had grown over that year, so more requests for data, the data exports were initiated, and yet you can see that in minutes, those numbers for those average time is in minutes, declined greatly, whether you're doing whatever kind of export you're doing, whether it's to complete all of them, maybe just your call reports, a resource database export, or your shifts. Those are the things we looked at, and the percentage decreases for all of those were significant. So we hope that that has been something that you have noticed when you've been doing your data exports. So we'll continue to monitor this progress. I mean, we are always looking for ways to improve performance. So this certainly isn't the last of what we're doing. We're not saying, oh, great, we did wonderful and we're going to leave this alone now. We are always looking at that, always monitoring it. But we wanted to share those results with you of the work that was done. And we hope that you are noticing it and enjoying it. Crystal, do we have any questions about our data export improvements?
It doesn't look like it.
Okay. Well, we will move right along then to our next item, which is talking about system uptime. So being a web-based service, we are always aware of just how important it is for you to access our systems and how our access to our systems affect you. Reliability and stability is always going to be a top priority for us because we know how high of a priority it is for you and how important it is that you can get into the system and do the work that you do. So it's a top priority for us. And while we consistently meet and really exceed our service level agreements, we're always striving to go above and beyond achieving uptimes like 99.95, 99.97 is often what we are looking to and always looking to improve on that. And what we're really pleased to say is that we looked at our uptime for the first quarter of the year, and thanks to some improvements that we made last year, some infrastructure work and changes that we did, our total uptime for that first quarter met a kind of a 4 nines that it's called standard, a goal that is 99.99% uptime. And to give you an idea of how good that is, it means that really if somebody has a 99.99% uptime in a given month, in the entire month, day and night, 24 hours a day, a system would be unavailable for about a little over 4 minutes total with that kind of an uptime. And we also noted that the average response time throughout the system registered at just over 1 second. So helping you kind of move through iCarol quickly as you're doing your work. Things should be were responsive, and we were really proud of that response time as well. So we are, just want to show you and mention again, I mean, we're scaling our infrastructure and our systems as we continue to grow. So we want to continue to provide you with the level of service that you've come to expect and deserve from us. And even at levels like 99.95 and 99.97, those are great, and we want to note that our performance at those levels is comparable to some of the really big name web-based companies that you have heard about and seen: Microsoft Dynamics, Salesforce, Amazon, NetSuite. These are all huge companies, and of course they're way larger, way bigger than iCarol in just about every way, and yet with our uptimes we are meeting and exceeding in some cases the service levels even offered by them. So again, this is a ongoing item. It's another one of those, just like data exports, when it comes to performance, we are always monitoring things, we're always looking to innovate, but we were really particularly happy with the performance, that uptime for the first quarter, and we wanted to make sure that we shared the strides that we're making with you, because that really was a kind of a direct result of some work that was done, and we wanted to make sure we noted that. Crystal, any questions about our uptime and performance? Or anything that you want to add either that I might have missed or about this?
Nope, I think you covered much of what we're doing right now. We are continuously working at our performance and taking a really intentional look at performance. So definitely a big goal. I don't see any questions. I think we're good.
Great. Wonderful. Okay, well, let's move on and talk a little bit about resource searching. So Earlier this year, we announced a new version of the resource search that's available for you to test out. So when you go to your main resource search page, the new version actually, upon first look, doesn't really look all that different, but there are some aspects of it that are interesting and that we want you to try out. So one of the things that you would get if you use this newer search page is there's an indicator. It's always kind of nice to let you know that when you're working in any sort of software, when you're running a search or something's thinking, it's always nice to have an indicator that kind of tells you that. So we've added that indicator that kind of gives you that visual communication when a search is being conducted. We've added numbers to the records, the list of records. Just makes it a little bit more clear about the order in which they're appearing and how many that there are. And when you have multiple pages of results, you should notice that as you're flipping through those pages, they load faster. That's because with this new search, when you first conduct the search, all of your results are actually loaded in the background and just sort of waiting there, so that as you flip the page, they've already actually been loaded. They're just being shown to you as the page flips. So it should make that actual page flip action and clicking through pages run a little bit quicker. We do, part of this was, again, user-friendly. We wanted you to be able to not only kind of see the indicator and some of the visual aspects, you'll have that hover over that will tell you that you can right-click, little things like that, again, that are subtle but good and go to user-friendliness. We've also gotten feedback that this new resource search screen actually works particularly well with programs like JAWS and screen reading programs that people who are using site-assistive technology would be using. So it's another benefit to using this. So this search overall helps you access and provide appropriate resources for your help seekers even more quickly, so that you can get them the information they need, gather up all the resources for them, tell them about those resources, and then wrap up the call or chat or text and then be more quickly available to help the next person. So ultimately, we want this kind of, again, performance and everything to help you help even more people and do your work better. The long-term goal of this resource search screen is to have this become the new standard search, but it is a long-term goal. But for right now, it is still in open beta testing, so it's really available to everyone. It's also available to be enabled at a user level, and one of the things that we suggested in our blog that the URL is down there is to say, if you have a couple maybe power users at your center there that are really comfortable with resources, very familiar with the resource searching, maybe it's your resource specialists or others, they might be great to be the first ones to test this for your center for a period of maybe a couple weeks or even a couple days before you decide to turn it on for everybody. That might be one way to go about it. But it just gives you a chance to try this out. It can be enabled by user, so you don't have to enable it for everybody all at once. But we want you to be able to test this out and give us feedback, because again, eventually we want this to become, and this and other enhancements that we'll continue to add on to the new searching, we want this to become the standard search. This is available now to turn on. There's instructions there in the blog about how to go turn that on, and there's also help articles in your system if you'd like to enable that and try it out for yourself. Crystal, do we have any questions about this? And Crystal, you're on mute, so if you're trying to talk, you're on mute.
That would be good to know. Thank you. We have a question about who do you send reports of performance issues or slow responses to, and as always, if you have any issues using iCarol, please connect with our iCarol support team by creating a case from the help section in your iCarol system. And then the support team will be able to answer your questions and escalate that to technology if needed.
Great. Thanks, Crystal. And if there's no other questions for this, we'll move ahead.
It looks like we're good.
Okay, great. So the next thing we want to talk about is some enhancements to the resource API. So to give you a little background information here, we know that you spend so much time and effort collecting and then curating and maintaining information about services to refer your callers to that are all stored in that iCarol resource database. But we want to encourage and enable our clients as much as possible to get as much mileage out of all of that effort as possible, to go beyond just having a resource database because you're sharing resources with your clients and your help seekers, which is excellent, but there is actually more you can do with it, and we want you to be able to harness that data and do even more with it. And one of the ways that we want to help you do that is through the iCarol Resource API, which is something that has been in place for quite a while now, a couple of years I believe, but we're always actually enhancing that as well and adding on new things that it can do, and in this particular quarter we had a few things that we had done to that. So the Resource API, and that stands for Application Program Interface, provides a way for web and application developers to actually access and display your resource data that's housed right within iCarol. These developers can actually, have queries or ask questions of the resource data in your database that's made available to them through the API, and then iCarol answers that by responding with resource records that match that request. So the kinds of things that you would do with this are things like being able to create a mobile app. That is something that several of our clients have utilized the API to do that. Others have custom-built searches for their website or lists. They've engaged with community partners to contribute their resource information to say, hey, we've got this resource information. Contribute that to collaborative projects. And a lot of times that results in new revenue streams for their organization to say, hey, we've done all this work. Here's all the resources that we have. How do you guys want to use them? How can we partner together to share them with you for revenue? So the Resource API is just one way to make sure that this resource data, your resource data that you work so hard on, can be harnessed and used in these new ways. So what have we done that's worth noting for today? So the first is that we've had some enhancements that have been done as it relates to automated verification. So if you use automated verification and the Resource API, there's actually an enhancement there. So developers can now create a process for your public users to automatically send a verification request to a service provider, somebody from your database that's a contact at one of these resources, that allows them to review and suggest changes to that record that you can then approve. So just like how the automated resource verification works, where you can send out an email to everybody that says, hey, we're doing updates, can you look at your resource information and give us some suggestions for updates? Now that can actually be initiated through an API request. So they can then look at their resource, give you the feedback, send it to you. You can review that, make any necessary edits, and apply that to your system. And again, within minutes, you have that update to your resource record without having to make phone calls. So it's one more way now for your automated verification to work. So they can send that request to the provider right through the API. So in these custom-built projects, you can integrate ways for consumers and others to initiate those requests. So that's one that we have done. Another has to do with custom fields or custom filters. So as you are aware, in addition to over 100 standard fields that you have and that you can classify and note information about in your resource records, you can also create custom fields that would record information that maybe doesn't perfectly fit within a standard field. And a lot of you use this already in your resource records. You might kind of track additional eligibility. You might update the priorities or note updating priorities. So if a resource is due to be updated or it's a high priority for update, you can use a custom field for that. And then a lot of you use it as a custom filter. You can make your custom fields custom filters on your resource search screen. So it lets your call specialists and chat specialists really quickly use that custom field to be able to filter the results that they're getting within iCarol. So now that you can use this with the Resource API, we actually have it so that the requests that your developers send through the API or requesting of iCarol that are getting to you through the API can actually be filtered based on these custom fields. So What does this do? It allows you, among other things, to create maybe subject-specific resource API portals, which you can use to, again, harness your data on your own website. But a lot of times what can happen is you might be able to access new revenue opportunities with a partner who maybe wants to use your resources for their own subject-specific or very issue-specific resources. So an example of this would be that maybe you have a local domestic violence shelter or a local LGBT center, and they want to display some of your resources on their website or through an application that they're building. But they don't want to take all the time and effort to just duplicate work that you've already done. You already have a great database of all kinds of great resources. So now you can use that custom field to note certain types of resources for them that might apply to the work that they're doing, and that you could make it so that you can contract with them and they'll pay you to access these resources by subscribing to the API, Resource API portal, with these filtered results. So that's just one way of potentially using this. But it's a way for you to really serve your community and partner with others and generate new revenue. And these are some really cool enhancements to the Resource API. Crystal, do you have anything to add to what I said, or are there any questions?
Nothing bad. You covered it beautifully. There is one question. How does the verification request differ from the API opposed to the standard verification? It's very, very similar. There are some settings that are limited with the API request just because of the complexity. If you're interested, if you're using the API and you want to know more about that, you can submit a case to the support team and they'd be happy to send you the new API documentation that's very specific about what's available in the new settings.
Excellent. Thank you, Crystal.
Thank you.
If we don't have any other questions on that, we'll move ahead again. And again, if you think of any questions as we go along and as we're moving on, don't hesitate to send them through because we will, of course, have time at the end to answer any additional questions that came through. So don't hold back. Okay. This is available now. These enhancements have been put in place over the course of the last few months. So if you're using the API or you're interested in using the API, these are available to you. And as Crystal said, please send a case to support if you want to know a little bit more. There's documentation and other information we can send you if you'd like to know more about the API in general. Next, I want to talk about changing terminology in iCarol. So changes in how we communicate in general are ongoing. That goes with every day in our personal lives and then of course in the work that you're doing. And we know this and you know this. We're always encouraging our users to embrace adding on new communication channels so that you can expand your reach and help people who may not want to use traditional methods like the phone call. And we know that more and more people are choosing to do that. They want to either chat or text. They want to be able to go on the web and fill out a form for intake. They want to be able to do self-service searches. So really having multi-channel access to your services is really important, and we of course have been encouraging you to do this for a while. It's key to your relevance as an agency and growing your service and just taking advantage of opportunities that might be available to you. And we know that our clients are definitely using iCarol in ways that go far beyond logging your phone calls and doing services over the phone. The call report forms, as we call them, because originally they were mainly used for calls, you're using these forms not just to log calls, but you're taking chats and texts on these forms. You are offering intake or screening forms on your website. You are logging in-person visits in your office, mobile crisis visits, and just all kinds of different interactions. So you are already using iCarol for a lot more than phone calls. So we know that if we are encouraging multi-channel access, then we want to make sure that our product is inclusive of those growing channels and of all of the ways that you're using iCarol. And so we are looking at making cosmetic changes throughout iCarol in the terminology, just throughout the application in the terminology that we use to refer to things. Last fall, we sent out a survey asking for some feedback on a few key points that really were aimed at helping us get this discussion going and planning going for how we were going to address this. So we sent feedback. We got a lot of really great responses on that. I just want to highlight a couple of the questions that we asked and some of the responses that we received. One of our questions was about renaming the calls area, because you know in your main left-hand menu of iCarol, there's a label for calls, and this is where all your call forms are stored. But as you know, this is where all of your report forms are stored in general, no matter what type of interactions they were. So we know you're not just taking calls, and we wondered how can the calls area be potentially renamed to better reflect that really broad range of interactions that you are documenting. So you can see our initial results there. Contacts seems to be the result that people agreed on the most. That could potentially be a new name for the calls area, and that you have contact forms, and that could be a new way to refer to that area, because it is not just about calls. So that was one piece of feedback we got. As we can see, really that was by far the most popular result. Interactions, records, and conversations all were really close to each other as far as second, but contacts by far was the most popular choice in how you would refer to a new way to refer to the calls page. And then we also asked about caller profiles. Because profiles are not just for callers anymore. You create profiles for your chat and text visitors and others. I know many of you have developed partnerships with maybe local hospitals where you are engaging with them to take some of the individuals that may go to their emergency department that have thoughts of suicide or maybe have attempted suicide, and that you are then following up with them, and you're really taking the reins on helping them through the next steps of care past the hospital visit. And when you do that, a lot of you are creating profiles for them so that you can continue to follow up, enter them into sort of an outbound call program. So it's going far beyond, again, caller profiles. These are profiles for all sorts of different reasons and people that reach your service. And so again, the most popular result here was just to suggest, instead of referring to them as caller profiles, maybe you just drop the word caller and just refer to them as profiles. And again, it seems like a great idea there, and was by far the most popular choice for that. So overall, we just want to make sure that we are better reflecting in our system the breadth and the range of the work that you are doing, that we have grown, you guys have grown and are adding on new services, and we just want to make sure that that's reflected. And we also want to make sure that as new potential customers are looking at iCarol, when we are showing iCarol to new organizations and centers out there, that they can see very clearly that this isn't just a specific software for one type of work, that they can imagine themselves more easily using it for all kinds of different sorts of interactions. And so we think really renaming some of those areas and making those cosmetic changes could be really important to do that as well. This is a long-term project. It's something that we are still discussing internally and figuring out how we go from here. We'll of course have to evaluate all of the different areas where terminologies are used and decide which areas we may want to address and which ones maybe isn't necessary to address. So this is a very long-term project. You shouldn't necessarily expect to see any changes to this right away, but of course when we make some decisions and decide what next steps are, you'll learn about it on the dashboard and through the blog and probably through emails. But we wanted to kind of, you guys took the time to give us that feedback in our survey last fall, and we wanted to make sure that we followed up and wrapped back around with this to let you know where it was and what we've done with that feedback. So thank you again to everybody too who gave us that feedback and participated in that survey. Crystal, any questions on some of these changes that we're looking to make eventually?
It does not look like it.
Excellent. Well, this is, again, as I mentioned, in progress. And finally, our last two areas here we'll cover are just kind of coming back and giving some updates on some projects that have been in the works for a while and are ongoing that you guys are well aware of. The first being the enhancements to messaging, live chat and texting, and also call forms within iCarol. So I don't want to spend too much time revisiting what you already know. You know that there's a lot of benefits and cool features to look at as far as the enhancements that we have made to call report forms and to messaging. So we don't want to go over that too much again, but there is a video available on our website. You can see the URL there. And also there was a training webinar that we did in December to go over these kind of feature by feature and to show you everything, give you a tour. So please check those out. If you're not sure what we're talking about or aren't aware of those enhancements or just want a refresher, please access those materials. So the way this process has been working is that as we identified, through the survey that we sent out and looking at your systems, we identified month by month each group of people who were ready to be upgraded, that their systems really were eligible for upgrade. And those upgrades began in January. So far, between January and now, about 1/3 of our clients who actually use call report forms, and we have some clients who that's an area of the system they don't use, but of those who do use call report forms, about 1/3 of you have been upgraded. So we've staged this upgrade because as time goes on, we've written in more and more advanced functionality that can apply to more and more of our users. So again, in stages, it's been ready for certain functions that certain people use. An example of that is accessibility enhancements and also telephony integration. For those of you who use telephony integration, that works closely with call report forms. So these are areas where we've since enhanced those, and now even a bigger pool of people are ready to be upgraded because of that. So how we've been handling this is that every month we've been identifying who is eligible and how many clients we can take on in that period of time, and sending you an email. So please do check your email, read the steps and the kind of outline that we give you on how to move forward, and please do follow through with those steps and engage with us to ensure that the success of this upgrade, and we want to work closely with you to implement this. So your input and engaging with you in that process is really key. So please do be checking your email and be looking out for that. If you don't yet use messaging, so if you don't yet use live chat or texting, or maybe if you do, but you're thinking about adding on a new service, maybe you're thinking about adding on a new portal, so something like a lot of people do a teen text or teen chat for certain hours where after school or times like that where it's popular. There's all kinds of different ways you can add on portals to address certain specialty chat and texting for a certain population, or for you're having its own call form and its own hours of operation. All of this is a great time to get on board with messaging. We're running a summer sign-up special that you may have already gotten emails about. So please do contact us if you're interested in learning more and taking advantage of that. We would love to get you on board with messaging, and you can take advantage of these new enhancements. Crystal, do we have any questions about this, or again, anything you want to add to what I've already said?
Sure. We do have a question regarding the messaging enhancements and if they improve speed and response time, especially when ending chats. I believe yes, because the new messaging enhancement has in-call report chat, which allows you to answer your demographic questions during a conversation, so you don't have to end the chat before answering questions. It's a smoother, more efficient process. You should have a number of improvements for that speed and that responsiveness time. If you have any questions about that, like Dana said, please feel free to connect with our support team.
Great. Thank you, Crystal, and thanks for a great question. Yeah, and please do again check out the videos too that we have on this. Some of your answers might be found there as well. We address some of the responsiveness and other things like that in the video and in the webinar. So if you have time, check that out. This, again, as I mentioned, the messaging upgrades are a work in progress, but we are looking forward to adding on more and more of you every month who use messaging and call forms to make sure you're taking advantage of all these great new features. Okay, and I believe this is our last topic, is the public resource directory enhancement. So, Again, part of our goal is, again, really reinforcing just that you really need to be offering as many channels as possible to get people to your services. There are, of course, a lot of people out there who don't wish to call your service. Maybe they don't even want to do a chat or text with you, that they want to get referrals and do some searching on their own. They're much more inclined to use self-service tools. And this is exactly why the PRD has been created and what it aims to do. Public Resource Directory, so if I say PRD, that's what I'm referring to. This allows you to reach people and get them help, get them the help that they need, even if maybe they don't want to engage directly with your staff. So again, multi-channel access is really key to helping your community and having the biggest impact possible, because you're going to reach all these people who might have all kinds of different preferences in how they want to get information and access your services. So the new enhancements to the Public Resource Directory are going to do a lot of things for you. There's a lot of benefits to using this. It's going to help you improve your outcomes. They'll get relevant results. That's one key feature of this. And also, by using the built-in guided search, they'll be able to browse resources through categories, and it's going to put resources that they need right in front of them, rather than them always needing to type in a search or look for it. Some people prefer to just browse, and so that's one of the things that the built-in guided search will help them do. So just getting more and better and relevant results all in front of people that way. The built-in guided search is one way that you can reduce your costs. The current Public Resource Directory does allow for guided searching, and we have documentation that explains actually how you can set up some guided searches. But usually our users are engaging with maybe their IT department or web developers to help them with that guided search on the old version of the PRD. And this new Public Resource Directory, there's actually the guided search being built right into the Public Resource Directory, and kind of a wizard that helps you set that up. So it's much easier for your resource specialists themselves to build and create those guided searches. So it could help you reduce some costs by not having to engage with IT or with kind of web developers to do that. The PRD is also extremely mobile responsive. So if you were considering developing a mobile app because maybe you want to appeal to all the mobile users out there, you do have options. You're not having to engage with developers and build a mobile app if that's maybe the way you don't want to go, because this new PRD is extremely mobile responsive. It delivers a really great mobile experience to somebody just right there within the Public Resource Directory. So you have options now as to whether you really want to go through the costs to develop and maintain a mobile application, and many of you still may want to do that, but you have options now because the mobile experience is really great on the new version of the Public Resource Directory. We have just wrapped up, I believe, Crystal, correct me if I'm wrong, beta testing, our closed beta for the Public Resource Directory, this new version and the enhancements. And so we're happy and excited to say that the release for the Public Resource Directory is going to be beginning on July 3rd, so next week. So we're really excited. Much like messaging and call report forms, this is going to be sort of a phased process, and we're going to be making it available to groups of users at a time so we can really work closely with you to get that going. And we really will be working fast to get as many interested parties as possible using it as soon as possible. So we do have some more details available to you very soon about what that process looks like, how to, let us know that you're interested and all of that. So stay tuned to our blog, our dashboard, and our email as this release happens next week. We're going to have all of that information and tell you what steps to take very soon. So we're very excited to get that going. Again, Crystal, this is an area where I want to give you an opportunity to not only answer questions if they came through, but if you have anything to add, because this is something that you and other members of the team have worked really hard on, and I know you're excited.
Very excited. It's a fantastic development. I personally love it as a ex-resource editor and manager. One thing I do want to say is that we will be continuing development on the new version throughout the year with new features and new tools coming to all subscribers ongoing. So keep tuned to our blogs and dashboards for updates on new features that are going to be coming out. And it looks like we don't have any questions.
Okay. All right. Well, again, there's still time, so if you have a question, do send it through. But for now, we'll go ahead and start to wrap up the webinar. So again, there's more information available all the time if you want it beyond these webinars. This presentation is just really one example of how we're trying to communicate with you about the enhancements delivered to iCarol. You can learn about features and enhancements through some of our tutorial videos that are available in the help section. There's also help articles and solutions and help articles that you can find, again, under the help link on the left-hand menu. There's also web pages and blog articles on our website where you can find out more. We often, for enhancements, are posting blogs about them so you can learn a little bit more, and of course updating our website with all of the most up-to-date information on the various areas there. Our friendly support team is always delighted to help you if you have questions. So if you can't find the answer that you're looking for on in help articles or on the help section or on the blog, please do open up a case with them and talk with them. They would love to answer your questions. On the admin dashboard, we are always sharing tips and tricks and, again, enhancements, when a webinar is coming up or other enhancements we want you to know about. In the center column there, you'll find that. And then you can also access training webinars and materials here as well. We'll often be sending you direct emails to the admins and supervisors to make them aware of new tools, so be checking your email to get that information. And like today, we hold webinars often, every quarter, or when there is a major enhancement, we'll hold a webinar just for that to kind of give you a little bit more information and some training on how to use it. And some new ways that we're sharing information, like we talked about today, the iCarol Ideas portal has now become another way that we have communicated information about enhancements to you. So please make use of that, as we said earlier. And pretty soon it will be time for our annual customer survey that we will send out to everybody a little bit later this summer, either next month or August, I believe. We plan on sending that out. So please do check your email for that. We really do appreciate your feedback. The annual survey covers a lot of different areas of iCarol and your thoughts on using iCarol and how you're feeling about us and the features that you're using. So we really do appreciate that feedback and love getting that feedback from you. It's really important to us. So be looking for that survey to come out about in a month or so, and we look forward to getting your feedback there. Again, we're always welcome and happy to hear about your feedback, and I believe there's even a survey for this particular webinar, so you can let us know if we're hitting the mark. Are these webinars too detailed, not detailed enough, too often, not often enough? We just love hearing from you, and your ideas are really important to us. So please let us know if you have any feedback to share. And I just want to end by seeing if there's any other questions that have come through, Crystal, since a couple minutes ago. Anybody else have anything to add? Now's your chance to ask about any of the stuff that you saw today.
I don't see any questions coming in.
Okay. Well, everyone, thanks again for joining us. Crystal and other members of the team, thanks for joining us too. Crystal, I really appreciate your help with questions, and again, awesome on so many of the enhancements that we've seen today are in particular ones that you were really excited about. So I'm excited for you that we've got to show these to everybody today and tell everybody more, but thanks again for all of your work on the webinar and on the enhancements as well.
Oh, and thank you for covering everything so beautifully.
Thanks, Crystal. Well, thank you all again so much for joining us. We hope you enjoyed the information. We hope to get your feedback if you have any for us. And again, please visit all those different areas that we shared with you where you can get more information if you need it. And we hope you have a wonderful day. Thanks again for joining us, and take care, and we'll talk to you soon. Bye-bye for now.